All right, it is Saturday, November 8th. It is 9:02, I believe, and it's time for the Watchdog Wire weekly report of things that I worked on and covered during the week, what I'm thinking about covering this upcoming week, and what I think are the dumbest stories in the Clermont Sun. So let's get right into it and focus in on some of the things that I covered this past week or that I just want to talk about. So here's my list. I will paste these links into this after the fact, so it'll be easy to go check these things out if you want to. And let's start with one of the things. What I want to start with here is the shelter thing. That's not current, but I noticed this morning people commenting on this shelter thing that I put out some time ago. The Clermont County Animal Shelter. Directly across the street is the sheriff's gun range. And so obviously, so it's well known that the shelter here in Clermont County is directly across the street from the outdoor gun range for the sheriff's office, and that the dogs get like PTSD. It's not like maybe if. Well, here's what got me on these. People started. I'll get these comments today about I'm an idiot. This man is just an idiot, making trouble every place he goes. Okay, how boring are you? Okay, so these people just 20 hours ago, 2 hours ago. What kind of fucking idiots don't think that it's a problem to have dogs directly across the street from a gun range where not continuous, maybe if you put a dog in World War II and they're used to continuous gunfire, they get used to it. But you got these idiots, like dogs get used to it. Oh, they're used to it. They like it. Somebody made a comment back originally on this that it's good for them. These people are morons, and I'm going to be absolutely clear about that. Anybody that's had a dog, that maybe these people are not dog lovers really, but anybody that's had a dog that has that's afraid of, say, like thunder or fireworks knows that it's not something they get used to. And the idea of having a gun range, outdoor gun range, directly opposite the shelter and directly lined up with the play area for the dogs. So with the outdoor play area, you got to be an effing moron. But in Clermont County, I don't know if it's this everywhere. There's like a moron class that's bought into the whatever I guess the establishment wants, and so it doesn't matter how logical something is. I find this a lot because I'm so hated for doing things like getting crooked judges out of office like Jesse Kramer or crooked commissioners out of office like David Ubel, that it doesn't matter what I say. I could say Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior, and these people would comment how they worship Satan. But the notion that just caught my attention because it was just, yesterday, just this morning, I'm seeing like this is an old post. How long is this post? I mean, the post is weeks and weeks old. And I can't see here when it was actually put out. At least I'm not seeing that. But it's like, what kind of moron is, a month, 2 months after this post coming out here commenting that dogs it's good for them. And I'm crazy for bringing this up as a potential issue. So, all right, let's go back. I didn't mean to go on a foray there. Some of these I might not click on, but I put out a piece that was doing a tour of Aaron Haslam's business and charitable interests in Hamilton County. I could do a tour of his business and charitable interest in Adams County, but I would have no place to go because all of his business and charitable interests are in Hamilton County, including very prominent board memberships. So he is on the board of a thing called LAD, that is Living Arrangements for the Developmentally Disabled. I think he's the president of that board. And then he's on the board of something called Boys Hope, Girls Hope, or Hope Ignites. And it's like in everything about him, all his business interests, the distillery that I'm not 100% sure he's still involved with the distillery, but he's done articles about it, interviews about this distillery. But remember, he doesn't live in Hamilton County. He's an Adams County boy. He just loves him some charitable interests in Hamilton County, and they love him. They love him. It's not, by the way, it's not because his father-in-law is one of the richest guys in the state. That's nothing to do with it, that he would have these prominent positions where people would cover for him when he is not legally living where he claims to live. But I did that. You can check that out, the Aaron Haslam Business and Charity Tour. I should probably do a piece of going to Adams County and asking where are his business and charitable interests in Adams County, and it'd be funny interviewing, asking people that. So now let's move on to Adams County Commissioner Kelly Jones. Actually, you know, I'm a Clermont County guy. I want to focus more on Clermont County, but the stories out of Adams County are just so interesting. And I also think there's a thirst in Adams County for real reporting that's not coming from the media sources that are available in Adams County. So one of these, the Kelly Jones OnlyFans girls texting. So there's a piece I put out on these OnlyFans girls that he took in the helicopter, texting back with me with all their, you know, pontification, you know, about their, you know, themselves, and that they don't want to do any interviews or discussions about it. They have nothing to do with it. I'm sorry. You have a sitting commissioner that during his campaign thought it was a good idea to take some OnlyFans girl on a helicopter where they filmed OnlyFans content that then they sold that he knew nothing about. If you will go watch, you know, you can watch the texting thing, but the second one is the telephone call with, so I called up, I've heard a bunch of other rumors about Kelly Jones. I'm gonna pause this here. There was I'm gonna pop it up on the screen, but there was a commissioner in Clermont County named Archie Wilson. And somebody just reminded me yesterday that, you know, Kelly Jones, I don't know about Kelly Jones, but they're very similar in their behavior. And you can go check out what ultimately happened to Archie Wilson. Not saying that Kelly Jones is involved in anything remotely like what Archie Wilson was, but it's the idea of somebody that can, you know, say things and maybe they're true or maybe they're not. But anyway, let's look at, so I had a call with Kelly Jones, and I'm just going to play the very beginning of it here so you can hear it because it's just funny, I think.
Will you answer that question? Do you maintain the denial that you never took anybody on the helicopter as a passenger without a licensed pilot on board?
I got to go.
So literally that was his answer. So I think he lied to me in his interview that I did a while ago when he said he had never taken a passenger on the helicopter without a licensed pilot, because there's video out there of him doing it. And so that raises the question, what else did you lie about? I was asking him about new allegations that are coming to me, and he 100% denied the allegations. So you can watch the video, but I'm always going to go, if I get allegations, I'm going to go to what I would think would be the most credible source, in this case, Kelly Jones, to get his denial. So he gave 100% denial. I'm not necessarily convinced because I think I caught him in a lie, at least relating to the pilots. So I'm going to continue to investigate that. Now, let's go back to the items and move on past Kelly Jones here. So the baby box, I put out a little piece on the baby box in Union Township, Clermont County, that if you remember, if you pay attention to me, the Union Township Fire Department had their safe haven, which is, you don't need a box for it. You can go to any fire, police station, or hospital. If you had a baby 30 days and under and wish to surrender the baby. So they had the wrong materials. The fire district did, Union Township Fire. Austin Clements, the fire chief, brother of Adam Clements, the local 12 reporter, Austin Clements, the fire chief that got hired without having the advanced qualifications that were recommended to have in Union Township, which was a big, prominent fire department. He had lied to me about that the pamphlets have been updated, and I caught him in the lie. But he also had said, and the same thing, that he was going to take me on a tour of the baby box, and he has not gotten back to me now in several weeks. And I don't know what this guy's deal is. I think he's just very immature, and he doesn't appreciate that, you know, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. You know, you got caught in a lie. Just freaking be a man. What I can't understand is how many people involved in government and politics stuff are not, and I'm not meaning negative to women. I'm just saying, being a man, you've made a mistake. Admit it. Admit it. Okay. Maybe even Kelly Jones made some mistakes. Admit them. Okay. And, you know, and move on from it. But what they do is they try to lie and they try to evade. So I think Austin Clements is evading taking me on the tour of the baby box that he's repeatedly promised. And the last excuse when I made the call, when I had the call with him that I recorded, by the way, I don't really record many calls, but I record calls when I start not trusting you. And when a guy has repeatedly told me that he is going to do something and then he doesn't, I'm going to start recording the calls because he's a liar. Okay. And so I want to have the evidence that he continues to lie. The excuse when he did, when he on that call was that his wife had injured herself and therefore he wasn't going to be able to do the tour for several weeks. So that was the deal. All right. Let's get on to the election. And now I'm going to talk about a little bit of Adams County, but mostly Clermont County as it relates to the election. And I'm probably not going to click on a lot of these, but I might. I'll click on some of them while we're talking here. So in Clermont County, I had the director and deputy director of the Board of Elections go with me voting so we could film in the polling location and check on and how it works, what's connected to the internet, what's not connected to the internet. And I think, it's interesting. And a lot of people don't know it. And it's good to know how some of these things work. So they did that, and I appreciate them doing that. By the way, there's a special rule for the press to be able to film in polling locations. So election observers, official election observers, and the press can film within polling locations. So initially, I got a little bit of pushback. I had called in to let them know I plan to do this. I always do that, by the way. I almost always let people know beforehand so that any notion like Joe Dills, okay, I show up at his house, but I told him like 3-4 times beforehand, I'm going to do this, okay? So I do just surprise people at times, but it's most of the time I'm telling them in advance what exactly I'm going to do because I don't want there to be any shock or any thing. So on the Adams County front, the board president got voted out of the Adams County, Ohio Valley School District. Is Shipley, got Gay Lynn Shipley. And, this one is, interesting because she was behind this LGBT weirdo dance troupe that outraged the sensibilities of people citizens that were in the school district. And I just want to I don't know why it's not playing. It was like circling there. So I'll refresh that. And so she ended up, let's see here.
That were supposed to be followed according to our policy.
So you think it was properly vetted?
I think based on what our policy said, it was properly vetted.
So
that's the freaking ping noise. Okay. My wife talks about the ping noise, the noise when you've just destroyed yourself. That she says this thing that everybody thinks was super creepy, super weird, super unacceptable was properly vetted. No issues with the vetting. And I just want to point out to you, I am not in favor of early voting. I am not in favor of early voting and absentee voting. Back when I was a kid, absentee voting was only available when you had evidence you were going to be out of the district on election day. You had to have like an itinerary or something. And that's much better. Why? There's lots of reasons for it's better to do it all on one day. And you can watch my thing about in the polling location and how the checks and balances take place. But to get it in doing it fast. By the way, things you have to do fast, like take the test, pencils down, hand it in, are not subject to fraud. Let's say you took the SAT and they said, we do it over 2 days and you can take your test home in the middle, but don't look at it while you're at home, okay? You've opened it up for potential fraud. And I just want to point out, as it relates to Miss Shipley, that I believe the events that took place in Adams County in that board meeting, early voting had already started. So one of the things that can happen too is when you early vote, things come out, things happen, but you already say voted for the person. And then you realize, they have some significant issue or some real failure. And so I think she did. Now she got voted out, but I wonder how many people might have voted for her prior to that not before the exposure of this thing with the weirdo dance troupe. All right, let's hit some Clermont County things. You've got the West Clermont School District, which is where I live, Union Township, Clermont County, and they literally reelected somebody who has serious mental health issues, who had their pets die in their condo and then couldn't find the rotting carcasses that were creating unbelievable odor that was permeating the walls of other condos. That person was reelected. Okay. So here is And
I am, Chris,
guys,
yes.
Okay, I want to do a little
one of the
interview.
guys.
Oh, no, not that. I'm just visiting.
One of the guys is Ryan Patton. He's the president of the school board. He refuses to
It's a
take any
campaign
questions.
event. It's a public event. You're on the school board.
I appreciate it, Chris. Thank you.
So he's at an event wearing a T-shirt that says Ryan Patton for school board, and he won't take any questions about the school board. This guy there's something wrong with this guy. I think he's super weird. Okay. He's super uncomfortable in his skin. And I'm going to talk about somebody else who's comfortable in their skin. But these people don't want to answer questions because they're not smart. And every time they avoid questions, it's because they're afraid of getting exposed as not being smart. As the way I think you should look at it.
Bad.
So this is Jim Rudy, the one that got caught with dead animal carcasses.
Hi.
Hey, Mr. Rudy, how are you?
Good, Neil.
You remember me?
Yeah.
So, can you talk to me for a few minutes?
No, I'm sorry.
So, I've gotten a bunch of reports that you live in some sort of squalor.
So it's like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. He looks like he's wearing a bathrobe, and it looks like there's squalor in there. This is his new place, some apartment place. His old place he got booted out of is where they basically had to gut the whole place because it literally. So you can watch that other piece that I did a while ago. The odor of rotting animal carcasses was so bad it was permeating the walls to other condos. And this guy's on the school board in West Clermont. Let me make this real simple for West Clermont. They got beat at the ballot box, I think 83 to 17% on a financial measure. They are not going to pass a financial measure for at least 4 years. So congratulations, guys. You have train wrecked the district. It's right back where it was. If anybody who's from Clermont County knows, West Clermont has been a cluster F forever, not able to get the confidence of the community to pass a financial measure. Ken Geis helped them get a new high school and their schools remodeled. They got a financial measure passed in 2020 during the COVID thing. And now they're right back to the shithole district they were with no sign to me. If you're going to reelect these people, it's going to be fun reporting on them. That's all I can say. It's going to be fun reporting on them, but I'd be very sad. I'd look at homeschooling or private schools if I had a kid in West Clermont district. By the way, they also hired the HR person from Milford that is implicated in twice not reporting things that needed to be reporting of a sexual nature to law enforcement, and covered up for both the SRO officer and for a wrestling coach. Whether the allegations were true or not, the person had an obligation to report them to the authorities under the law because they were credible allegations. In both cases, did not. Okay? So, and now they work for West Clermont because we're just going to make West Clermont in the most shithole district again. It's just so sad because it was a shithole for my kid went to St. Veronica, but West Clermont was a shithole district, and it seems like they're committed to it being a shithole district again. And the voters reelect. I don't know who reelected these guys, but maybe it's people that are against the district. You know, the 83% that are against the district that voted against their financial measure. All right, let's move on to Bethel Tate. And this is just a fun one. We're getting out to a little bit more in the eastern part of the county. So Bethel Tate elected to their school board a guy that has the top vote getter has like 23 felony convictions for defrauding an elderly person of which they were the caretaker. Let's ponder that. So first off, they should not.
It's confirmed to Fox 19 now that he has at least 20 felony convictions.
So our team spoke with a candidate yesterday.
Brooklyn Andrews joins us.
So you can go watch this one. So the funny part about this is, all right, so we have a guy that had 23 felons, and then people are like, oh, and commenting, oh, but he's honest and transparent. No, he wasn't honest and transparent. He got caught. He got caught by the press somehow. And I don't know why he was allowed to be on the ballot. Okay. But per the law, he's not allowed to serve. So if you've been convicted of a felony in any state, you can't serve in a public office per Ohio statute. And then you get people going like, well, he's reformed, he's changed. That's fine. He can go work in the private sector. We're talking here about public, that people that are using taxpayer money. So for the public, I didn't, I would have, but the law says if you've been convicted of a felony in any state, you can't serve in a public office. So that's the law. So if obviously at least the legislators that the people elected wanted that law and put that law in place. Okay. I think it's probably a good law. Okay. Because it's not about whether he has a right to serve or he's God's gift or whatever, but it is that he has a right to that maybe we don't want him handling money. Now, somebody's going to start commenting Trump, Trump, Trump. Okay, we could take that differently. Maybe Trump can't serve in office in New York. Okay, so that's the thing, and there's no such federal restriction of this. But any event, that's the deal. This guy covered it up, blah blah blah. But he's a top vote getter in Bethel, Ohio. So what are you going to do? It's just fun. I don't know that I'll cover it. Bethel's not the thing. It's not a. I like Bethel. I grew up half in Bethel, but it is not. It's. I just get so time sliced on having time. All right, let's go. Nice Nathan and Crazy Katie. So Nice Nathan and Crazy Katie, the two municipal court judges that were appointed. Katie Terpster's never had an opponent in an appointment nor in an election, and she is crazy. Okay, so she is crazy. She should not be on the bench. I'm glad to say that. I'm saying that as a journalist in the spirit of Glenn Greenwald, that says when you have done journalistic work and you've determined somebody's crazy or not fit, as a journalist, you have an obligation to report that and not act like you don't,
We have no interest in talking to you. Have a good day.
Judge Terpstra?
Stop harassing us now.
It's not harassing. I have a right to ask questions to an elected official.
You can go ahead and go talk to somebody.
We've asked you to leave. Stop harassing us.
I can't. You have no right to ask me to leave.
Stop this. She's a judge. Oh, let me just show you.
I've seen you at a lot of events and parades.
Absolutely.
You're always gracious to talk for a second.
Sure.
I think Nathan Little actually enjoys talking to me.
Any new developments, exciting cases?
Nothing pertinent. I just got off the bench.
But Crazy Katie, so she's supposed to be a judge. That was at the fair in Clermont County this summer at the Fair Parade staging area and a public thing where she's there for a campaign event. And she says by trying to ask her questions is harassing her. She's nuts. She is nuts, off her rocker nuts, and should not be on the bench. And that is my opinion as a journalist. And I am sticking by it. And I will see. She has every opportunity. If she'd like to do an interview, I'd be glad to do an interview of her. I'd be glad to do an interview of her that she could, quote unquote, man up and face the press and not hide like she does. In a world of Katie Terpstras, we need more Nathan Littles. Okay, be a Nathan Little. Who Nathan and I are not friends. We don't get along really. We disagree on most everything, but he is a gentleman to me whenever I'm trying to interview him or see him at a public event and ask him any sort of a question. Now, I have this thing down here about bloodbath coming. So one of the things, let me go back over here. So I have this thing about bloodbath coming. So one of the things going on in Clermont County is I live in precinct P1P in Union Township. I am the elected Central Committee member for the Clermont GOP from this precinct. Katie Terpstra's husband, Blair Terpstra, ran against me, and they all hate me. Like the party hates me. I've gotten multiple of the crooked Republican elected officials out of office, and you're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to let crooks, perverts, weirdos, lay them in office. So Jesse Kramick is a weirdo, sexploiting his hot assistant. And that's supposed to be okay. That's the way the Clermont GOP thinks. And anybody exposing that is the bad person, not him, not the judge. He's not the bad person. Well, so this was before that. But Blair Terpstra had run against me to try to get me off the committee. He had literally, I hear numbers as high as $4,000 or $5,000 that was spent in a precinct committee race. And if you don't know what the precinct committee race, it's basically like your neighborhood. Mine is like basically, it would be two neighborhoods that it's a precinct, a voting precinct, two neighborhoods. There might be, there's like 1,400 people in the thing. And literally like thousands of dollars got spent against me by Blair Terpstra. John Becker is one of the people that funded this, by the way. And in this, now I'm going to scroll down here. There were these professional hit piece mailers that were done against me by Blair Terpstra, that I'm a Putin stooge, that I'm a Democrat. There were 4 of these, okay? These smear things that were done by him, okay? So what's the bloodbath coming? I'll shortly be turning in my petition to run for Central Committee again. And it is going to be an absolute bloodbath because I have nothing to lose. I beat Blair Terpstra like 2-1 last time. They'll spend thousands and thousands of dollars against me, I'm sure. But I will probably beat him again, okay? But even if I don't, then he's my precinct committeeman. And you have this issue where the Terpstras, who are goofy as shit, the wife is a judge, public figure. She tries to use her judgeship to shield them both from criticism. Her husband's a public school teacher who is at the heart of hackery in Clermont County. He's suddenly been appointed vice chair of the Central Committee when he never comes to meetings or talks, basically. He does now, okay? And because they're wanting to prop him up. So, okay, you're becoming a public figure, Blair. That's fantastic. And I just look forward because I think I'll beat him again. But even if I don't, he's going to be my precinct rep then, and I'll be able to focus in, okay? These Terpstra people are nuts. And maybe they'll bail on them and try to get somebody else to run against me. You know, it's whatever, but they'll spend thousands of dollars. I would not be surprised if they would spend $10,000 to try to keep me from getting elected to the Central Committee because I am Satan for having gone after crooked elected officials and pervert elected officials like Jesse Kramer. Okay, so let's get back. I know I'm running a little over. I apologize. So I'm going to hit a couple things here. I'm going to try to avoid clicking on the thing. So just for speed purposes here. So I did a tour of Congressman David Taylor's Clermont County office, which is in Union Township Civic Center. Kelly Foss is his person there. She's great. We had a very fun time doing a tour. I appreciate it. And I just want to point out, David Taylor, I didn't support David Taylor running for Congress. And I don't think he was too happy because I'm involved in a PAC that spent significant money against David Taylor. But he has always been a gentleman to me. He's always been willing to do interviews. They've reached out to me. Kelly Foss reached out to me about doing an office tour, which I really much appreciated. Let's compare David Taylor to Katie Terpstra. Okay. It's not about, apparently these people don't know how the media is supposed to work. The media is supposed to be, I'm not saying they should be your enemy. They should be collegial. They should be honest, but they are a check and balance. And David Taylor, the reason why he doesn't run screaming for me, I think, is he seems like a man who is very comfortable in his own skin. Okay. He's not afraid to answer questions, but it'll look like an idiot. He won't. I can tell you from the questions I've asked him, he's not going to look like an idiot to any question I ask him. Okay. He has the skills. By the way, what's interesting about him? He's a very accomplished man, but he comes from the business world, not the political world. Okay. So he doesn't have as much of the retardation of people that come from the political world. So, you know, business people know if you ask a question, you don't know the answer, say, I don't know the answer. Okay. Like political people, if you don't know the answer, they want to give you an answer anyway, because they always have to be the smartest person in the room. Business person, if you fuck up, you generally admit it and say you're sorry, try to move on. Political people try to cover it up, you know? So I think David Taylor is a great example of somebody who's comfortable in his own skin. Let's get to these last couple things. There's a couple People's Defender things. So I did a thing about the People's Defender not running articles about Aaron Haslam, this Adams County. And then Julie Webster's editorial. They did run an editorial by somebody, which I put on the screen here. And so that's good. It's good that they ran an editorial by Julie Webster and Seaman. But the People's Defender has had a news blackout relating to any stories on Aaron Haslam. And the reporter, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, told me that he's not allowed to do stories on Aaron Haslam. So I did another thing. So you have Aaron Haslam, your county prosecutor in a county of 27,000 has to report to court because he refuses to put a county sticker on his license plate. How retarded is this? Like, anybody who was a man would just come in there and say, when I start bitching about a long time ago, put the freaking county sticker on, okay? But Aaron Haslam hired high-priced lawyers from Cincinnati to defend him on his refusal to put a county sticker on his license plate. And he won't admit it. And you get the feeling, if you go watch a video of him when the court thing took place, that this man has been protected for his whole life. So he does not have any instincts in how to respond when he's being criticized because he's used to being protected. And you get a judge refuse to appoint the Clermont County prosecutor because of their bias in a case over $150 maximum fine. That's not a story for the people for the People's Defender. And if that's not a story, that paper has absolutely no legitimacy. If that's not a story, you know, your prosecutor gets caught up in some dumbass thing about $150 fine on a plate sticker. And this is the guy making decisions on when to pursue the death penalty. This is the guy making decisions on who to charge and not charge. And he seems to be goofy as shit that he would be fighting about a plate sticker. So that's that. Now I'm over time. I'm bad over time. So I'm going to go fast here. I know a lot of people like Hilarious Scales. I got nothing against Hilarious Scales, but I call him on the bullshit every now and then. I've only done it twice. Second time I did it is on the bullshit of his claiming to be a journalist, you know, and that everything he does is for his own edification to get more likes and follows. So it's all of his things. So and you can go read, he made some comments here. So I get ratioed on this one because you got these, Hilarious Scales followers. So Hilarious Scales goes in all these things about how he cares about mental health, how he does this in comments. You can go read the comments on this. And he's not a registered voter in Clermont County. And we had just had a mental health levy. And what drives me nuts about Hilarious Scales is, first, the guy's pretty ballless. If he sees me at an event where he's there, he runs away because he's afraid I'm going to try to ask him a question. So it tells you a lot about him that he runs away. He's scared. Okay. The other thing that is interesting about him is he talks about this new generation taking over, his buddy Michael Logue, and he's not even a registered voter. Okay. And what I think is a lot of his followers, and if you're one of his followers, I got nothing against him. I like humor. I don't know if I like his humor or not, but I never liked Jackass humor, you know, that kind of stuff. I never liked that. I get people like that. I had a friend that really loved the Jackass movies, you know, so people have different tastes in humor. Okay. But Hilarious Scales is a person with his following that at least should do something to try to empower them. They are the people that a lot of times what I see is get taken advantage of by the criminal justice system, by the government system, that a little understanding of how to do things would help them immensely improve their lives. But he's too busy running around in his underwear and doing reports from burning drug paraphernalia shops and shit like this. And he's afraid to man up. He doesn't even register to vote. What does that tell you? He cares about all these things in the future, but he doesn't register to vote. And what he does is he does things that pander for his own likes. So he's now doing his turkey drive for Thanksgiving for people on Snap. Okay, that's his thing. Okay, well, why don't you do something, dumb A, to get people off Snap? Okay, why don't you try to help them have skills just a little bit? I'm not saying change your whole thing. I'm not saying become a different guy. I'm just saying do a little bit of that, and at least yourself register to vote. Now I think he's in the death vortex that is Hicks derangement syndrome, is that he did not register to vote, and therefore, you know, now he's caught. As soon as he does register, I'll be, you know, hey, registered, great, you know. But now he's caught, so he can't register. This is just dumb. So this guy is. Oh, here he is in his underwear. This guy, you know, I appreciate that. Oh, I went past it. Sorry. I appreciate that he is what he is. I appreciate what he's trying to do. He's trying to make a living doing that. I'm trying to make a living per se, but I've already made a living. So I think I'm in a different place in my life, you know, with what I do journalistically. You know, and I'm not trying to pander. You know, I'm going to focus on things and that I think are important to focus on. I can't find the underwear thing. It just went by on the screen. But I would encourage I want to start with this. Hilarious Scales. Man, fucking up and talk to me. You run away from me. He did a thing blasting me, how I, you know, demanding I come on immediately on with him to talk, like back in March, maybe. But it was all bullshit. He's too afraid to talk to me. The guy doesn't have any cojones. You see that in the underwear pictures. He doesn't have a lot of cojones, so he's not really willing. So I encourage him to talk to me, and I got nothing against him. I just think he could be much more than just pandering to not move people out of idiocracy level. He could just do a little bit, and I'm calling him out because this younger generation, And I know I'm going way over, but here's what bothers me. It's like these OnlyFans girls. Like, so Kelly Jones taking OnlyFans girls on the helicopter is creating a market for OnlyFans girls like that, and creating a market that older men do this kind of pervert stuff. Okay. Now, Kelly Jones denies that he knew anything about it, but he certainly knew about it after. And I don't see he's not provided with me with all the times he's tried to get them to take down that content. Okay. Or threaten legal action against them for doing that content on his helicopter. He hasn't done that, right? So he has not done that. So now you've got hilarious scales out there, and there's probably a lot of young kids that look up to this guy. I want to be a content creator. I want to be a content creator like Hilarious Scales. Yeah, I want to be some guy running around in my underwear that's not even a registered voter. That's not what aspirationally we should want for our young people. And Hilarious Scales should understand that. I think he might have a kid or kids. I'm not even sure, but I think he does. And then he should think about that. What kind of kids is he trying to make as a parent? Is he the person they want to, hey kids, let's be dumb, not register to vote, run around in our underwear and constantly pander. Okay. So that's my thing. And I would encourage him to man up and talk to me or do something, or at least register to vote. Register to vote. Okay. Register to vote. And put out a piece that you register to vote. And so now I know he's not registered to vote in Clermont County. Okay. I don't know if he registered to vote someplace else. Theoretically, he could have moved for all I know. I did have a comment specifically in that post where I asked him, did you register to vote? And he gave some bullshit answer that was not at all related, not a yes or no answer about how he's trying to help people and all this kind of crap. Okay. So that's that. All right. I'm way over. I don't know if you're having fun. I'm having fun. But I'm going to go to the Clermont Sun, the dumbest stories in the Clermont Sun. So the first dumbest story in the Clermont Sun is the election results. So this is the Clermont Sun. So first off, this paper is from Thursday, November 6th. Okay. So the election was on Tuesday, November 4th. Okay. Anybody that wanted election results, you get them right off the Board of Election sites. But this paper is so shitty that it just needs to fill space. So what do? Look at this. They just run all these things about how they went up. They could have used the format off the Board of Election site and it would have looked better than this. They could have published it directly off the Board of Election site. But I'm going to go down. We just got this never-ending thing of election results. Who the hell's reading this? You already have they already have access to this. They could just put a link to the Board of Election site. But what don't they have here? What don't they have? There were a lot of big things going on in the county, and some of them I've talked about, and some of them I haven't. So, for example, in Batavia Township, they passed two things: one to prohibit a development, and one to remove planned development from their zoning code entirely. Meaning, in Batavia Township, the only thing ever going to get able to get built now in Batavia Township is going to be $1 million and up homes. That's pretty damn close. Okay, once this all goes totally in, because I believe they're going to have half-acre lots, and it's basically affordable housing is going to be not able to be built in Batavia Township based on those changes, from my understanding. Batavia Village had this whole thing where they had 4 flips on their council, 2 incumbents get beat. A super hot issue over these development things. Now Batavia Village is going to be I would never put a business in Batavia Village now. Okay, you got the Idiotville. You got the crazy guy with the truck as a voice of the people. So that's a huge issue. Okay, here. Now, theoretically, it would have been a huge issue. Guy that has animals die in his apartment, can't find the carcasses, gets reelected. That would have been a huge issue. But they don't report anything that gives you any insight into anything. They just report, let's pop this back up here. This is it. This is it. Okay. Why? Because their reporter knows nothing. I will say, I think Ryan is named, the guy in Adams County that's a reporter. He seems like a nice guy, and he seems like he knows the community. He's plugged in with the community. Megan Alley, as far as I know, doesn't even live in the community in Clermont County. I think she lives in Indian Hill. And so this is her byline story. Second dumbest thing in here. Food donations accepted at local pantries. Okay, see this down here? Who's it from? Who's the byline? From Clermont County. Who the hell is Clermont County? That's how bad this paper is. They don't write their own content. Look at the lead story up here. Batavia Post investigating 4 vehicles submitted by the State Highway Patrol. So the Clermont Sun, the government writes its own news, okay? Down here, we don't even know who this is. Who's Clermont County? Clermont County submitted this. It just here's from Clermont County. That's how dumb this paper is, how dumb this paper is. And then the last thing I wanted to mention is the editorials. And I'm going to go forward to that here. The editorial page, just real quick, and then I'm going to be done. They always have this John guy about something. It's so boring. It's always, we need more stuff for the veterans. I'm still waiting for John to write a report on how we can cut spending and improve services to veterans. But all of these other editorials, I don't believe a single one of these is somebody from the community. Okay. Some from our community in Clermont County. It's all like, these placed pieces. Ohio Chamber of Commerce. Okay. Now we get death penalty repeal. We get the whole different formatting. We don't have a style book at the Clermont Sun. We just format however the hell we want. But none of their editorials are actually from the community. Whereas I want to bookend that with the editorial from Miss Webster. At least that was an editorial from the community within the People's Defender. All right, so I'm about done. We're right in the home stretch. There is what am I working on? I believe the grand jury process in Clermont County has been corrupted, and I'm working on that. I have several story angles that I'm working on how the grand jury process has been corrupted by Mark DeCalvi. Now, it may have been corrupted by Vince Ferris previous to that, but it is a corrupt process that is used for it's been too often weaponized. Okay, too often weaponized by Mark DeCalvi, and I believe Mark DeCalvi should be investigated for a variety of things that are malicious prosecutions and so forth, because he's got the whole political hack team. And on the municipal side, David Gass is the head of the municipal side. So that's one side, and then the felony side we also have to look into as well. So any event, so that's one of the things I'm working on. I got a variety of other things I'm going to be working on over the next week that I have on a list. Here, and stuff about Signal 99, if you're familiar with that issue, and I'm going to dig in more into Brown County Sheriff and Detective Shane Olson. Shane Olson is I think a bad cop. He's been protected by Brown County now. He got booted out of Batavia Village. This is the cop that was, by all reports, doing a remodeling project for Prosecutor Mark DeCalvi in Clermont County while Mark DeCalvi was investigating him. That's how, I'm not going to give it, but just let that sink in. Doing a remodel, as I say, I bet you Mark DeCalvi got good pricing on the remodeling and probably excellent work. And I'd like to see it. I'd like to get a tour of Mark DeCalvi's house. Or I would like Mark DeCalvi to man up, which he won't do an interview and explain what actually happened. Okay, explain what actually happened with that matter. But the other thing, by the way, I'm going to dig into on that is somehow this whole Bill Thomas indictment thing, nothing makes any sense about it. The grand jury was set by the Clermont County prosecutor, and then they got a special prosecutor. That's not the way it's supposed to work. If the Clermont County prosecutor needed to recuse, why didn't they recuse first? And didn't the special prosecutor decide whether he wanted to take anything to a grand jury? Because the word of the day is weaponized. That's the word of the week, is weaponized. So those are just a few of the things that I'm working on this upcoming week. And I have some, I could probably do 4 or 5 stories based on things I have in the can that I have never actually used the video or taken it forward. But all those things I'll follow up on. And there's a lot of things that are laying out there that I'm going to follow up on. One of them is the Ohio Election Commission and the corruption of campaign finance in Ohio. All right. How long did I go? 46 minutes. So I went 45 minutes when I tried to do 30. So I apologize for that. And I'll try to get to 30, but hopefully some of this is interesting. And I will put all the links that I covered today in the post on this. And remember, every video that I post on Facebook, I also post on X and on YouTube. And why do I mention that? I personally find watching my own videos, so I'll watch, a lot of times I'll post them and then I might watch them later to see if I have a typo or anything that I missed. And it's so much easier to watch on YouTube because I can watch that on my TV easily. And so just remember that any video I post is not just on the Watchdog Wire on Facebook, it's on the Watchdog Wire on YouTube and the Watchdog Wire on X as well. All right. Have a great weekend. Talk to you later. And